Whether it be a checked racing flag or an 8x8 game board, a checkerboard pattern is familiar and fun. Join me today as we bake this alternating pattern into delicious vanilla and chocolate checkered shortbread cookies. Here I have all the ingredients measured out for the two different doughs. For the vanilla dough I have flour, butter, sugar, a little bit of vanilla, and an egg yolk. For the chocolate dough I have flour, and in the flour I also have cocoa, which makes the chocolate dough chocolate, butter, sugar, a little bit of vanilla, and this time a whole egg instead of just an egg yolk, because the cocoa added to the dry ingredients makes for a stiffer dough, so you want the extra liquid that you do get from a whole egg. I'm going to take my softened butter and my granulated sugar and mix them until they're light and fluffy. I'm going to add my wet ingredients, listen to me, my liquid ingredients, egg yolk and the vanilla. And to this mixture, I'm going to add my dry ingredients, which again, we're making the chocolate, so I have flour and cocoa in here. We're getting a little bit of a flour storm. Okay, I'm going to sprinkle a little flour on my bench. Get my dough out of the bowl. Messy, messy. That's okay. It's all gonna come together. And we have our nice little rectangle. I'm gonna wrap it in some plastic wrap. Now I'm going to make the vanilla dough, and in my bowl I have the sugar and the butter, and I'm going to cream them for about 5 minutes until they're light and fluffy. To the cream, butter, and sugar I'm going to add the vanilla and the egg yolk. I'm going to add the dry ingredients and make the dough. The vanilla and the chocolate dough have now been chilled, and I'm going to roll them out into rectangular sheets. You'll see I'm going to sprinkle flour on my surface and on my rolling pin to make sure that the dough doesn't stick. The rectangular sheets of dough have been chilled. And now I'm going to cut them and layer them, and you're going to see how the checkerboard pattern actually gets formed. So I take the first layer, and I'm going to paint it with egg white. And this egg white acts as the glue. So there we go. Now I take my other layer, put it right on top, give it a little press. This now needs to be cut in half and stacked again. What do they always say? Measure twice, cut once. Now in continuing to build the checkerboard pattern, I'm going to layer the two pieces that I've just cut. But first I have to use my glue, my egg white, paint the top, and put the second half, the other two alternating layers, right on top. And then I'm going to cut slices from this alternating block of dough, stack those, and then you'll see how the checkerboard pattern gets formed. Once again, I've put the dough in the fridge to make sure it's nice and cold, and also to give the egg white a chance to stick to the layers. So I'm going to measure across, and you can make them as large as you like, but the key is that you need to be consistent. So I am going to make these 1/4 inch, and I'm going to score it so that when I go to slice it, I'm right on target. Now with my very sharp knife, I'm going to cut my strips. Now I have my alternating strips of dough, the chocolate and vanilla, and I'm gonna stack them and glue them in order to make the checkerboard pattern. Okay, so I have my first sheet. I'm gonna paint it with our egg white glue and take another sheet. Now the important thing to get the pattern to start is you have to have an alternating color strip. So here we have chocolate, vanilla, chocolate, so now I have to have vanilla, chocolate, vanilla. Give it a little press. Paint the strip and just put it on top. Simple enough. Pretty neat. So I've taken the checkerboard logs and I wrapped them in plastic and chilled them in the fridge. Now at this point, you can stick them in the freezer and use them whenever you like. Just the idea now they're all made, and we're going to have our own version of Pillsbury slice and bake cookies. Tastes a lot better though. I'm going to unwrap one of the logs, and I'm going to slice. Now we'll bake these cookies for about 12 minutes or so in the 350-degree oven. You don't want to overbake them. They're not supposed to have any color. They're really a traditional shortbread cookie. You'll know they're done when the surface has sort of a dull finish to it. Here we have our checkered shortbread cookies. Perfect. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope to see you again soon.